this is Greg Berzinsky for Beardbrand. I'm here with my 8-week update of the growing of my beard for 90 days without cutting and trimming. And today I want to actually show you how I physically style my beard to minimize my thin patches and bald areas. Stay tuned. Eight weeks. We're at day approximately 60, about 2/3 of the way. This series will probably go actually about 13 weeks since it's 3 months. We'll end up somewhere a little plus of 90 days. But a lot has changed for me. I talked last week about it moving slowly, but it actually seems to have picked up pace and noticeable that I really have a beard. And if we look at this picture, this was the last time I grew out my beard. That was my beard at 8 weeks, the last time I started growing it. So approximately almost 4 years ago, that was my beard at 8 weeks. One thing was different then is I started with a very full mustache, and you can see in that picture that the mustache is definitely predominant. So this is uniform 8-week growth. So what I want to talk to you today about is how I style my beard. Last week I actually said this is probably about the time that you should start styling your beard, and the comments section suggested that people were starting to groom their beards anywhere between 4 and 6 weeks or so, so it was right on target there. But I want to show you how I take some problem areas in my beard, challenging areas in my beard, which we're all familiar with, the fact that I have some bald or thin patches, and how now with 8 weeks worth of growth, approximately 1 inch, you can move the hairs around and you can actually cover those areas up. So that's been the most noticeable thing. People haven't actually noticed that I shaved off my beard and it's growing back. People have asked me, oh, if they haven't seen me before, oh, you've trimmed your beard. So obviously a bearded man now at about 8 weeks. Since my beard grows maybe slightly more than average, but pretty much average, if you have relatively even coverage, most guys will be seen as fully bearded at about 2 months. Some guys, if you have dense beards, in a week you can look like you have a beard. But most guys who have medium texture, medium coverage, in about 2 months or 8 weeks of growth, that's considered basically a full beard. I have to admit that since I've had a beard before and I'm coming around the second time, I actually don't worry about my bald patches like I did the first time. And that's because you are your own worst critic. You see the areas on your beard that present challenges, and not everyone sees those. So I see a lot of guys who have not a lot of hair growth, maybe on their chin, or the fact that their sideburns are pretty, their cheek areas are pretty low. What you might consider to be defective, actually, is a style choice by several guys. And I point to my son Victor here, like his beard is pretty much non-existent below his lower lip and on his lip, and he's rocking that Wolverine kind of look with chin strap and heavy sideburns, and I have to say that he has gotten nothing but praise. Random trolling comments saying, that's not a full beard, but in reality that's a beard, that's facial hair, that's hirsute, and he's rocking that. So what you think might not be the perfect beard actually is still a beard, and it's actually your beard, and so you should own it. And now, coming back the second time around, I'm actually more comfortable with actually that these areas, it's actually a style of beard where I have heavy mutton chops with a very, good mustache and goatee, and the fact that they don't link together actually is a style. And I've actually seen photographs of guys who have actually separated their mutton chop from their mustache for emphasis on the mustache. And I actually think it's a pretty good look on me because of the coloration of my mustache being darker from the sideburns to actually let that go. But today I want to concentrate on showing you how to actually close that gap, how I do that, and how you might take a patch in your hair. Say on the side here, a weak area in the chin. A lot of guys have just random patches that aren't growing like they thought they would, and how to cover them over. And I will zoom in right now for a little close-up to show you some of the areas that with the use of a hair dryer and a round brush and then some styling product, mostly in the form of styling balm, I can get those patches to cover over, and at 8 weeks I'm pretty confident with my beard, and don't worry anymore about those bald patches. So I'm going to zoom in now and show you some of the areas that I'm going to take care of with a little styling And it's something that you will see and compare to at the end when I show you my style beard at 8 weeks. So I'm going to pop in close here. So you can see clearly now at 8 weeks that the hairs on my lip are, the hairs on my lip, I don't have a lip, are covering my lip. And it's a look, but this is something that I don't want because I don't want my hair getting wet every time I drink. You can also see here that the thin areas that I have and how they're exposed. This is the area that I can't wait to trim. I think my cheek will be much stronger when I cut this off. I've actually noticed also, backing up here, I've noticed also that my beard is definitely thicker than it was 4 years ago. I don't remember having these hairs higher on my cheek here. I've had random hairs for sure, and I think these areas actually are thinning out. So at 57 years of age, I'm continuing to see additional growth. Hey, maybe by the time I'm pushing up daisies, I'll actually have the connected sides here. But we'll see. I'm going to pull in close to show you this side also. So likewise here, thin area. This is something I want to clean up later, but it's really about my mustache. And so I want to show you how I get the hair out of my mouth and how I close these gaps in, which you can compare with, so you can see at the end what a little styling can do. So the amount of hair drying I'm doing is minimal. A 1-inch beard on me, my hair is almost dry by the time I towel dry it. So what I'm really using the heat for is to control my mustache. For the most part, I can actually comb the sides of my hair, which are naturally growing back like this, combing them forward, combing this area back, as I talked about before, and closing the gap. Don't really need a lot of hair drying there. As it gets longer, I definitely will. So for the most part, I'm just combing, tendency for my hair to grow down or to the back, pushing it down, taking this area and closing up the gap. Your spots might be in different locations. If you have predominant spots here, a lot of guys do, you can push the hair to the side, pushing it back to close up that gap. If you have a spot, say in the middle of your beard, comb the hair toward the center of the spot, comb the hair toward the center of the spot. You can cover up those gaps. Pretty easy, and especially when your hair is 1 inch. You have 1 inch of direction in both ways to play with the hair. So it becomes definitely easier to do at about 2 months, about 8 weeks worth of growth. Where I really am using the heat is in my mustache. These hairs will not naturally go over without more control. They're stiffer, they seem to be the coarsest hairs on my face. These hairs are lighter. I don't know if it's because they've been around the longest. My mustache came in first when I was, say 21 years old. Didn't really fill out until I was 30, but really didn't fill out until I was 45. But those hairs are the coarsest hairs and the stiffest hairs within my beard. And from my experience, the stiffer those hairs are, the more likely they are going to need some heat and some styling product to change the direction. That's very noticeable when you have a handlebar and you're trying to get the curls. It's almost impossible to let them go naturally. Few people are blessed with curls that grow naturally in the direction where you want them to go. That's where heat comes in. So just in review, I'm not actually even going to blow dry my beard. There's some random hairs that are sticking out. I'm going to use styling balm to actually control those hairs to get them back into place. And I'm going to use the heat now on my mustache. So let me show you what I do there. So I'm going to use a round brush, this one pretty small, 1/2 inch diameter. This is a stiffer brush that I've been using lately. I'm going to use this with heat to push the hairs in the direction where I want them to go. And in this case, I'm trying to get the hairs that are growing straight down into my mouth to push them to the side. So what I'm doing with the heat is I'm heating it up, I'm pushing it actually even counter the direction, almost pushing it up and to the side, sweeping it in the direction that's going to get it out of my mouth. And then when it's in that position, I'm going to blast it with cold air from the hairdryer. And see, that gets the hair out of my mouth, expresses my lip. Hit the other side again. So that way, using the cold air sets the style to where I put it with the heat and the round brush. Round brush isn't really totally necessary. You can use a comb. I could also use the comb to push the hair out of my mouth, pushing it in the direction where I want it to go. What you might be asking is, why don't you just cut it? Why don't you just cut the hair above your lips? Well, in this series, I'm not cutting it, but ultimately, if I want a bigger mustache that I'm gonna grow more hair to get into a sweeping handlebar, I'm not gonna cut my mustache. And so there are styles that, an executive beard would have a trimmed mustache, and I might come back to that at the end of this series, or I might decide to let it grow. Only time will tell. But if that hair is starting to get into your mouth, use some product to get it out of the way. By product, you can do two things. I'm going to show you each on one side. You can take some styling balm, loving the gold line, using the old money here. Putting a liberal amount of this in my hair, and I'm actually going to use the comb, pushing it down. And to the side to get it out of the way. What I'm going to do now is just hit that with a hairdryer a little bit to take a little bit of the moisture to set that. The alternate method would be to use mustache wax. Here I'm using Temple Smoke. I'm not using these together, so it doesn't matter. Warming the mustache wax with a hairdryer. You can also put it between your fingers to warm it. Actually, just put your thumb on it to warm it, just faster with the hairdryer. But if you're out and about and you don't have a hairdryer, obviously you're going to warm it with your fingers or putting it between your fingers to rub it to warm it up. I'm putting this on my mustache directly at the base to get it over there. So I'm not using mustache, and that smells really good. I'm not using the mustache wax because I don't have a handlebar right now to style a curl. I'm using it for control to get short hairs out of my lip, out of my mouth, and into the sweep of the curl. I actually prefer that. The hold is a little stronger. So I would go with that. If you have wiry hair, if you have really coarse hair and you really want to get it out, reach for your mustache wax at about this time if you want to get the hair out of your mouth while you're waiting for your mustache to grow longer. And then what I'm going to do is I combed my beard into place. I'm going to take a little bit of styling balm. Just taking the hair with styling balm on it, closing the gaps where I have those challenging areas. Parting it in the middle a little bit. Nice thing about styling balm also, it gives you control to the outside of your mustache, outside of your beard. It gives you control and prevents flyaway hairs. As you know, do not cut off flyaway hairs. Use product to push them into place. That rule again, a flyaway hair today is not a flyaway hair tomorrow. That looks good. Anyhow, I'll zoom in for a close-up and I'll show you my beard at 8 weeks. So that's my beard at 8 weeks without cutting and trimming on my 90-day journey. And I do admit that I like my beard styled a little bit like this. And as you can see, the styling on the sides of my beard taking almost no effort as I'm just combing it into place at this length and putting some styling balm on it. Mustache takes a little bit more, and as your mustache gets longer, it may require a little more time. And generally, I've always spent a little more time on my mustache than I have on my beard in general anyway. Comment below and tell us if you are starting to style your mustache and at what point you do that. And tell us when you start rocking your handlebars. Until we meet again, beard on.
Thanks for watching this video. Beardbrand has launched a private community called The Alliance. It's for men who are looking to invest in themselves and who are looking to keep on growing. Click the link over there and come join us, or stick around and watch some more awesome videos.